I tried to warn people. I tried to warn people and say, hey, don't get excited for the Capcom presentation. While Capcom has been doing great work with Resident Evil 4, Street Fighter 6 this year, fantastic stuff from them, don't get excited for the presentations because they're usually kind of a bit of a letdown. The Capcom showcase for 2023 just wrapped up, and well, hit that subscribe button if you're new because, like I said, I was right about this situation. Let's talk about this presentation, what I liked about it, and ultimately why it was a bit of a disappointment. And I think people are going to be way harder on this than I am. So first off, we got to look at Kunutsu Gami Path of the Goddess. I hate this name. It's hard to pronounce. I'm just going to call the game Path of the Goddess. Of course, this is the game that kind of looks like a blending of like a little bit of Okami in terms of the visual style mixed with some Onimusha style gameplay. It was yet another trailer. I'm still a little bit confused on the game as a whole, but I do think the game looks absolutely fantastic from a visual standpoint. The combat itself looks really fun, you know, that sort of sword wielding combat. I think it could be a really good game. I'm going to be interested to see sort of what separates this game from other games. They once again didn't really talk all that much about it, so I'm assuming it's a game that's probably a little bit of a ways off, but hey, you know, it's a good looking game. Stupid name, just call it Path of the Goddess. That makes it much easier. Mega Man X Dive offline for Android and Steam. I think it's also iPhone too. Look, imagine like putting the word offline in your name, and imagine releasing a new Mega Man game and then it not coming out on consoles or handhelds or any real sort of things, just on Steam, Android, and iPhone. And once again, the word offline is in the name. So you play as Mega Man X characters and other Mega Man characters from the franchise, including ones you've never played before. You level them up, you customize them, you level up their weapons. I mean, the game itself, when they actually showed like the little glimpses of gameplay, I don't think it looked that bad. I thought it looked kind of fun, but when you look at the customization side of things, there's clearly going to be some money sucking, gobbling up stuff, because there's two different currencies that I noticed when they were like upgrading weapons and stuff. And it's just like, why, man? Like, Mega Man is doing well. The recent Mega Man compilation sold really well. Like, people want Mega Man, but they don't want this non-traditional cell phone, Steam game with the word offline in the title. Who is naming these titles over at Capcom? I feel like we need to have a sit-down meeting and talk about, you know, maybe we should make them a little bit easier to roll off the tongue. I don't want to say the word offline when I'm talking about a game's name. I don't want to say Kunutsugami. I think that's the closest I've said it when I'm talking about Path of the Goddess. Then it was time for the sizzle reel of the show. Okay, a little bit early here, but it was basically a sizzle reel for Street Fighter 6, talking about upcoming content that will be coming out. The Capcom Pro Tour 2023 with over $2 million in prizes, with first place getting $1 million. So time to sharpen up my Capcom Pro Tour skills for Street Fighter 6. There's also going to be like a league where it's like 4 people on a team, but I think it's already established. I don't know, like competitive gaming, it does nothing for me. Like, I know the Daigo fight, like that was cool, but like, I don't know. I watched the Empire Arcadia documentary, kind of, that was an interesting, you know, movie or whatever with Justin Wong, but competitive fighting scenes, you know, competitive gaming scenes in general, it just flies over my head. And then they also showed off a little bit of PSVR 2's RE4 mode, which looks pretty neat, but I'm not sure I'm going to play it on day one because, you know, we just played that game. We just ran through that game, and then I played the original Resident Evil 4 right after that. But it doesn't matter because we don't know when day one is because it still doesn't have a release date. And I was like, that's kind of weird. Like, why are you even talking about it if we still don't have a release date for this? I feel like this would be a place to talk about it, but it's okay because next up we have a game that was announced, kind of teased a little bit via a showcase, and then completely disappeared, called Pragmata. And this was a game kind of had like outer space. We had a weird space specimen as well. We haven't seen this game in a long time. We got a weird little girl that kind of reminds me a little bit, for some reason I get a Metal Gear feeling with this child. Maybe it's kind of like, you know, Olga's child in Metal Gear Solid 4. But hey, you know, it's finally time to talk about this game. It's finally time to show off what this game is going to be about. But I'm just kidding because they announced that there's another delay and no release date no release window, no real gameplay besides a little bit of a snippet towards the end, which I assume was some gameplay. So we're still left completely in the dark about this game, but I guess at least we know that it hasn't been canceled. It still exists. Moving on, we have Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, which of course was a DS cult classic, getting a spotlight. I did like the presenter's outfit and his little hat there. That was a little dapper looking uniform that he had on for this presentation. I mean, look, it's a cool enough game. It's a DS game from 13 years ago. I never played the original game, but I do know that a lot of people liked it. And I do know that, you know, it's a good little mystery detective game. You possess different things in order to change the scenario so you can find out who killed you. Kind of a bit of a Geist vibe, which, I mean, I'm like one of 2 Geist fans in the world. I don't hate this game. I think it looks fine, but it's also a DS game at the end of the day. So it's like, yeah, you know, it's not going to do anything crazy. It's some good fan service. And speaking of fan service, how about some 3DS stuff here with Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Collection, the Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Justice Trilogy, Justice Apollo Phoenix Wright, whatever. It consists of Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Dual Destinies, and Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice. I think it's actually called Ace Attorney Apollo Justice, but Apollo Justice is like the name that's put out there in the forefront more so than Ace Attorneys. I don't know. Call it whatever you want. AJAA or AAAJ. It's a collection of these 3 games and a new collection with some improved visuals slightly and some voice acting stuff. It's coming in early 2024. So the DS and the 3DS are well represented in this presentation, which is good because I don't know, I guess, you know, re-releasing these games is a good thing. It's just nothing I'm going to get super excited about because they've been out forever. We also showed off Capcom Town, which is open for the 40th celebration of Capcom. I'm sure they'll have many more big classic Capcom titles in this presentation that they're bringing back. You can play free Capcom games. It's a website that has different attractions. You can vote for stuff. I feel like this should be like an application on like consoles though, like something I can download, kind of like, you know, the Capcom arcade thing. Like, why isn't this something I can download on a console? Like, I don't want to go to a website to vote and then play some, you know, flash versions of games. I don't know. It's kind of a weird decision in my opinion, but you know, it's kind of neat. They started to shill the Capcom ID accounts next, which honestly, these are annoying as hell. It honestly took me a minute to figure out like how to do it for Street Fighter 6. I already have an online account. If I'm playing on my PlayStation, if I'm playing on my Nintendo Switch, if I'm playing on my Xbox, why do I need another account for this? Use the info that I have tied into my account that I already pay for online service with. I hate these things. I hate Ubisoft's thing. I hate Capcom's thing. It's annoying as hell. And speaking of annoying as hell, we have EXO Primal Time or EXO Primal Time. Look, man, this game is the perfect example of we can't all be winners. Even though Capcom, like I said, they've been doing a great job lately. I have watched this game so many times. I've seen so many gameplay trailers of this game. It just looks so generic. It looks so mind-numbing, and it looks clunky in terms of the movement and the combat. I mean, I guess it being on Game Pass definitely helps it. Maybe I'll check it out, but I have no excitement for this game. It literally looks like one of those generic ass Xbox 360 games that we got like during that time frame. There's nothing that stands out about it. And look, I'm a man who loves dinosaurs. Like, dinosaurs are friggin' awesome, but even the dinosaurs can't just make Dino Crisis Remastered to make a new Dino Crisis. That's what people want when they think of Capcom and dinosaurs. They don't think of this a new IP that's an online shooter game. But hey, you know, it's coming soon, boys and girls, and then we'll never have to hear from it again because it'll absolutely flop. And to finalize things, unless there's a big secret at the end, we have Dragon's Dogma 2. Now, admittedly, I like the first Dragon's Dogma game, and this looks like a proper extension and, you know, a proper sequel of it. You have the pawns that fight alongside you or help you in different scenarios. You can play with up to 3 different pawns, a main pawn, and then 2 side pawns, and they said, like verbatim, it feels like playing in a party with other real players in the game, but you can't actually play with real players in the game because who wants to go on an adventure with your friends, right? But, you know, all jokes aside, I do think this game looks really, really good. The world is much larger than the previous world. The graphics of the game look absolutely fantastic. The different landscapes, the different character animations, the combat animations, the enemies themselves. You know, you got your big hulking creatures, you got your smaller creatures and stuff like that. This game looks like an absolute winner. It's not coming out anytime soon, but it is a game that can potentially get people excited because obviously this whole little genre of games like Dragon's Dogma, it's becoming a very popular thing. You're seeing a lot of games in this sort of style, and this was kind of one of the OGs of it. So I'm super interested in checking out this game and learning about this game as the years go on. And then wait, there was a big final announcement. There's a Capcom game sale on various platforms and on Steam, so you can get the latest and greatest Capcom games, some of them at least, at discounted prices. That was it. That was it. I'm not going to get too crazy and be like, I wanted to see something Monster Hunter. I wanted to see Devil May Cry. I wanted to see this, that, and the other. But you can't give me, at the very least, you can't give me Resident Evil 4 DLC information, separate ways, how that's going to be. Of course, you can't tease anything with that. Like, I feel like this DLC should be like wrapped up. I feel like it probably should have been announced and like dropped at this event, but it just felt like there wasn't really anything at this event. Your freaking Pragmata, they basically said, oh, it's coming out sometime soon. We got the Path of the Goddess game that looks good, but that's not coming out anytime soon. You had a game spotlighted called Offline, with the word offline in it, that was a Mega Man title. Most of these games we already knew about, and while Dragon's Dogma was probably one of the highlights of this presentation, there just wasn't enough here for me. You know, obviously, with the Ubisoft presentation, they talked about games that hadn't been showcased or showcased very little. And that's where Dragon's Dogma 2 comes into this situation with me. But everything else, you know, Ghost Trick, Phantom Detective, like, you know, the Ace Attorney stuff is cool, but it's nothing groundbreaking. Like, there wasn't really much here. And it went on for about 35 minutes. And just the lack of, like, real surprises, the lack of any sort of Resident Evil 4 DLC updates, I don't know. This show felt like an absolute waste of time. Like, if I didn't watch this show, I didn't miss out on anything. There wasn't anything that I needed to see right here, right now. So it looks like we have a stinker for our fake E3 season. But I guess it's better than the Nintendo Direct that's not happening, right? Oof, that's going to hurt some people. Hey, there's a Switch eShop sale, though, and that's your Direct, kiddies. Let me know what you think of this presentation in the comment section down below. Did you watch it? Was this the worst presentation of all of the presentations thus far? I think we're pretty much done with presentations too. I don't think Sony or Konami is doing anything. I don't know. I'll have to look. But if there are some more presentations that fancy my interest because they're bigger companies, I will be covering them. If not, it is what it is. And yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share, hit the bell notification as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.